What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Coast to Coast. I'm Ronan Gaine. Joining me, as always, Chris Nambu. Thanks so much for joining us here. We have a lot to get into today. Unfortunately, we do have to talk about the Milwaukee Bucks just a little bit, as they were our team of focus over the last couple of weeks. That won't be too long of a conversation. Not a lot of positives there. We're going to be getting into the fast break. We got to take a quick look at Atlanta. We're going to talk about some of our rookies that we've enjoyed watching that maybe won't be in the conversation for Rookie of the Year. And then we have to have a big old talk about the Western Conference, because the race for that third seed is really heating up nicely and looks poised to be a lot of fun over the final few weeks of the season. But before we get into it all, Chris, how you doing, man?
Yeah, excited to talk about this last stretch of the season. We're finally getting closer to some March Madness basketball. We got a few hours to go for that, so all of the tankers at the bottom, we have something a little bit more enjoyable to talk about, while all the good teams, we can talk about them. But yeah, man, weather's turning. Playoff basketball is upon us. March Madness is here. It's a good time to be alive.
Yeah, the weather really got us that last week in New York. It got up to like 70 for a couple of days. We're like, yeah, this is great. It's really springtime. And then the last few days, it's been rain and cold, and we're like, okay, we're back to winter now. So hopefully, yeah, I'm ready to see that turn happen again. But you mentioned tanking teams, and we're gonna talk about one that's not really tanking, but they're just plain terrible, and that's the Milwaukee Bucks. I mean, what is there to say other than just like yikes? They're 28-39. They're 5.5 games back of the play-in. They're almost definitely not going to be a play-in team this year. Not going to be a playoff team at all. And you're just looking around for any like sense of remembrance for why it would make sense to Giannis to stay with Milwaukee beyond this season, and I really just can't hold on to anything.
Yeah, let's just go through it. So they've been trounced by the Celtics, who did not have Jaylen Brown. They did not have a rim defender at the time. Kata was not on the floor. So no one is actually there to defend Giannis, and somehow they still lose. They gave up 131 points to the Hawks, who have cleared up pretty bad competition. And I guess we're now counting the Bucks as that still. They get whacked by the Magic without Giannis, which is not surprising. And in this season, they've now lost 8 games by 25 or more points, and they're 17-19 when Giannis plays. 24th and 25th in offensive defensive rating, respectively. Still at the bottom there. And none of this is surprising, right? None of these things are shocking, but I think, we talked about that little shimmer of hope. You got a couple of new guys in the system. You get to see, what does this look like? Do you have a little bit of maybe youth movement, development? Can you get a guy like Ousmane Dieng? And, it's a kind of a second draft for a guy like him who was hidden in that OKC roster. He's got length. He's got shooting touch. He can be a multiple position defender. He's fine. 307 minutes. He's net plus 1.1. He's efficient. Rebounding's good, but doesn't really make much. Pretty early to expect anything from him. I think the one guy that I'm disappointed in, as we're trying to hope on somebody, is Cam Thomas. And to be fair to him, a lot of this is minutes and rotations, and we'll get into Doc in a second, but they've been all over the place. Can't really expect guys, especially primary scorers, to really get a good rhythm if they're not getting consistent minutes or not getting consistent looks. Where's the offense coming from for a guy like him? He's not relied on like that. But he's also not shot well. He shot less than 30% from three. He's barely scoring over 10 points per game. And I think this is a situation that was not meant for him to be successful in, and it was already a pretty long shot for that. So the two glimmers of hope were very distant hopes, are not glimmering so bright. They've lost all these terrible games. They lost that terrible game to the Hawks, and I'll set you up with this. This is the honest quote for me that really just resonated. Is when they lost to the Hawks, he said, "What are you playing for? Are we going to wave the white flag, or are we going to play hard and make a push?"
I'm not going to say they're not playing hard. I just think they're bad. I just think they're just not very good. Like, they could be playing their hearts out there. They're just not good enough to win basketball games. Like, these are just a lot. This is just a combination of just a lot of average players. Unfortunately, they made some decisions to go big on some guys that unfortunately are not coming to fruition now. This also goes back to the deal that they made for Dame. didn't quite work out, and they're kind of paying the repercussions of it now. Tried to find that swing with like Miles Turner last year, and look what it's really turned into, a whole lot of nothing. I respect Milwaukee. They really are like doing anything possible they can to show Giannis that they're trying to do anything to turn this team around. And unfortunately, it's just not going to happen. You look at around this team and you're like AJ Green, okay, maybe his ceiling is like a Luke Kennard, but like how big is that? Like, is this going to be a guy who can shoot well from three but doesn't really offer a whole lot else? The second his shot's not falling, he kind of becomes pretty obsolete. You look at like Miles Turner, like this year, he's averaging his lowest points per game since the 2021 season, lowest field goal percentage of his career, second lowest blocks per game. Not great. A guy I could maybe talk myself into liking is Ryan Rollins. I do like what I've seen from him. But again, watching this in like a losing team, and it's just like we don't know if this is his ceiling. If this is his ceiling, that's not good enough to ever be partnering Giannis in a team that's going to go on and win games over the next 2, 3, 4 years, the remaining years of Giannis's prime. It just doesn't make any sense whatsoever to kind of keep trying to keep this going. And I know Giannis doesn't want to leave and he wants to be loyal to Milwaukee because they've been loyal to him, but like it really makes no sense for either party in terms of purely basketball on the court for them to keep Giannis.
Yeah, no, I think this is we knew this, and that's already been determined with the trade talks and the discussions that were had, and we'll protect Giannis's honor, and he never requested it formally, but he just wants to seek new opportunities, and that's fine. But I think for this team looking forward, like I think the gut check here is, hey, who's going to be part of this team as we rebuild? Giannis, we already kind of know that Hail Mary from our own 1 yard line didn't work. Big surprise. These guys are not ready to compete at all. And yeah, we're not playing hard to make it push. I mean, these guys are trying their best. Yeah. But like Rollins, yeah, to your point, he's been good. I think that he's got such great potential as a two-way player. I think you look at a lot of teams and there's a great archetype that he fits there as a secondary guard. He's not going to be a primary creator every time, but he can defend He can defend point guards, bigger guards. In some cases, he could switch on to some smaller wings. He's shown that he's a great on-ball defender. He's got great hands. He's got length. He can really use that well. So I mean, they've got a nice developmental piece there, and there's still a chance maybe you're developing Ousmane Dieng. Is that something that you could seek there? But I think you look at Miles Turner, that's one that you have to look at and be like, okay, what value is still there? Is there another team with a dynamic point guard who could say, all right, we could rehab this guy's value? Can you get something for him? I think this is the point where I think it's going to be a fire sale in the off season, and there's maybe a couple of guys he's keep, but I think everyone's open to go. And the big question here is Doc going to retire? This is the craziest part of this whole situation, where we're not even just talking about, all right, is Giannis going to go? It's like, hey, Doc, are you done? Reporters asking him if he's ready. It's just crazy, and I feel bad for them that that's the situation they're in. But of course, Stephen A. Smith creating all that buzz. He says no, but it's his last year, man. Who else is going to give Doc a chance at this point?
Yeah, it's really tough to see, and obviously things are just like petered out for Doc as an NBA coach. Like since that stint in Philly, and then obviously he had a quick little break and he was doing the TV stuff, and then he came back into Milwaukee, and like it just hasn't come to fruition. And unfortunately, it would be such a dampener for him to go out like this, just a damp squid to finish things off. But like it's kind of like, why would Milwaukee extend him? And also, who else is out there thinking, yeah, Doc Rivers is the guy that we need right now? So yeah, that's really tough. But like they have to look at it and think in terms of just like the trades that they can make and stuff. It's like I could definitely see like a Giannis Turner. Maybe there's a double that turns into both a team that trades for Giannis gets Miles Turner included there. But like you think of Giannis, Portis, Turner, Kuzma, there is a world where they can find their way into 6 first-round picks for those guys. Like that's possible.
Why did you say the name Kuzma?
I mean, someone will take Kyle Kuzma. I'm
No,
not saying he'll be a first round pick, but like he'll
dude, he
someone will take on
he.
Kuzma.
Who's gonna take on Kuzma? The
I don't know. You
Chicago
say that
Bulls,
about
maybe.
so many guys in the NBA. Someone will probably take Kuzma. Maybe not. Maybe Kuzma will go back to being like a 20 point per game scorer on a terrible team for a year or two. Maybe that'll happen either.
Yeah,
That could also be
him
possible.
too. I think when you're looking at the Bucks too, you look at a lot of these guys. It's like we tried everything to keep Giannis here, and they weren't great bets, but none of them hit. Just Turner didn't hit. Obviously, didn't have the point guard to have him hit. Sure, Kuzma just like, ugh,
Yeah.
just like did nothing. Truly, did
It kind
nothing.
of felt like that was happening anyway because he was already kind of teetering off in Washington before
Yeah,
Milwaukee took that swing on him.
yeah. But then the argument was at the time, hey, look what he's still shown, the production he's shown. Look, when he still tries on defense, there's that Lakers-esque defense that he showed. He could be a great defender. Look at him slashing. Look at him shooting. All right, imagine that guy who's next to a championship contender. How's that guy gonna look? And we always do that, and it's hard. It's hard to predict how players will change in different contexts. It's always hard to think about, what that context does to a player. And it's possible that I'm not going to blame this on Giannis. I think Giannis is an ultimate competitor. It boggles my mind to watch him, fight game in and game out. And you do see there's a level of competition he plays with that some of these guys just don't have. Just plain and simple, they don't.
Yeah.
And some guys just won't have that. Just because you play next to that guy doesn't mean it's going to happen. And how serious do some of these guys take this stretch here? And I'm not saying this. Giannis is saying this. I'm not sitting here in front of a computer. I mean, this is literally what Giannis is complaining about, is that some of these guys are not competing in that way. And I don't know. That's tough. But long story short, Kuzma's not getting a single pick. I think this is his last stand. He's a minimal guy from here
That's
on out.
fair.
I think maybe he's salary. He's a good salary down. But
Yeah, that's fair.
at the end of the day, hey man, Giannis will be gone. I think everyone on this team, except for maybe Ryan Rollins is a project. You keep him around. Jang has no value right now, so you see if you can get something out of him. And everybody else, I mean, you're kicking the tires on. You're trying to see what picks you can get. You can see who will fit around your lottery pick this year, and it's a reload. So hopefully it'll be a good offseason for them as they try to recoup what's going on here.
Yeah, and especially if the lottery gods are in their favor this year, because
No.
obviously Atlanta has the choice of their pick or New Orleans, but Milwaukee gets the latter of that. There is a world where they get lucky and they still end up with a good pick this year.
If both the Pelicans jump up and the Bucks jump up, if they both jump in the lottery, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Crazy scenario, but yeah, even if they pick in the top 10, the ultimate disaster obviously would be if they jump the Palace and
Yeah.
then they'd lose the pick. But yeah, Atlanta sneaky here, and
There's a crazy world where they're the Pels get like the 1 pick, the Bucks get the 4 pick or something like that, and they end up in a pretty good position, or vice versa. Like there is a world where that, compared to like the rest of the future, which is just completely bleak. 2027 they're dead. 2028 they're dead. 2029 they're dead. So like this really is the be all and end all in a way for the Milwaukee Bucks in 2026.
well, they should learn from the last year and trade Giannis, and then they'll probably find a way to just win the number 1 pick, because that's just how that works. But yeah, I mean that pick there, that's what's curious to me, is if the lottery ends up that way. We'll talk about Atlanta briefly, I think, in a bit here, but that's still in play. The question is, do the Hawks have the ingredients necessary to make a contender? And I mean, they may hold even heavier cards in that scenario if that does happen. But let's jump over to the West. Let's talk about our the fight for the 3 seed, shall we?
Yes, it's enough being miserable. Let's talk about some good things. The West, as always, it is a juggernaut. There's just so much competition, especially at the top end, and we're seeing it this year. Obviously, OKC and the Spurs have pretty much cemented the the top two seeds in the Western Conference, but 3 to 6 is very much wide open. We've got the Lakers in 3 at the moment, the Rockets in 4, the Nuggets in 5, the Wolves in 6. Just 2 games separate those 4 teams right now. And we saw last night the Rockets faced the Lakers. Lakers came out on top. Lakers are the form team out of that group right now. They are on a 9-1 run over their last 10 games. They've won 6 straight. Whereas the Rockets are 5-5, Nuggets are 5-5, Wolves are 6-4. So the Lakers are the form team at the moment, and I guess like watching last night and now knowing that they go together, they go and face each other again Wednesday, and that's very important because that will determine the tiebreaker Wednesday's game. Maybe I'd favor the Lakers over the Rockets, but I still don't know where I place the Lakers, even though they are the top seed of all of them at this very moment.
Yeah. Let's jump into. Let's do an overview first. Do you have a prediction for where the top 6 are going to land off the bat?
I think it's going to be. I think the Nuggets find a way into the 3 seed. Mm-hmm. Lakers in 4. After hearing that Anthony Edwards news that he's out for a couple of weeks, I'll go Nuggets, Rockets in 5. Wolves will stay in the 6 seed.
Even before Ants was ruled out for at least a couple of weeks here. Pretty much until playoffs. That's kind of how this is going to work. I already had, obviously Thunder, Spurs, and I think Denver is going to be there given the strength of schedule. Lakers, again, given their remaining strength of schedule. Houston and Minnesota. Let's jump into Lakers because you mentioned the part of how great they've been, and let's talk about it. They have been great. First thing that I've really liked the defense. I've loved how much zone they've been able to get into. You really see Marcus Smart being a ball hawk on the perimeter. The point of attack is so obvious, like how much pressure he puts out there, and they've been great at doubling and scrambling behind the ball. And okay, is that real? They've been 10th best defense in the last 15 games. Is that legit? So they had a signature win over the Nuggets. That was a real nail-biter. One of the best games of the season. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. They split 2 games with them. They beat the Rockets and Knicks. Nice wins. They demoralized the Wolves. And everyone else is kind of taking teams. So it's kind of been a mixed bag. It's been like really good teams that you have good wins against, and then some bad teams. So I don't think that this sample size is necessarily a bad one. I actually think it's been pretty decent. Now, you could argue how much of their hand are they showing before the playoffs. They're really pulling out at the stop. So this is when pretty much every team is preparing like full speed for the playoffs. That every team has a scouting report for the other. They know what they're going to get into, and this is pretty much their playoff form. I think what we're seeing the Lakers get into is their playoff form, and I guess I'm wondering if that defense is real, if that will continue as offenses get a little bit more used to Lakers zone and how they're playing in that way. Can they keep that up?
Yeah, I believe that their defense they can get it up to a level like we saw it last year. Remember the run their defense went on last year when the Lucas trade first happened. Obviously, they had a couple of extra pieces there, like a Dorian Finney-Smith in there to kind of to make that happen, and then they still kind of fell off a cliff then when we got to the actual playoffs. But I feel like this run has been as much about like Luka's capabilities of going super sane and like just being at that complete like peak offensive player over this run as well. Like he's been absolutely fantastic over the last couple of weeks. Like last night again, he was great, 36 points, hit a couple of insane shots against the Rockets. The biggest thing is it's just like they were able to recover it last night, but there was a moment where it looked like the game was going to get away from them, and that ugly head of their inability to rebound the basketball and giving up second chance points looked like it was going to cost them, just like it cost them in a big way in the playoffs last year. And the scoring at the rim and second chance points were really starting to kill them. They went down by 10 points, and then I thought that was it. And then they were able to just turn it up. They made KD look like a guy playing down to the Y in that second half. That was insane, and they were able to pull out the win in the end. But I think the difference between the Lakers team, I guess, this year and last year, I just think I believe more in Luka's ability to carry them through kind of the difficult periods offensively. He'll have enough to get into that over that like those few like little lulls that they hit. But I don't know if I really believe in their their defense more or their like rebounding and rim protection ability more.
And I mean, to that point, the defense, the rebounding, the interior defense. Does DeAndre Ayton feel different right now?
He's coming up in moments. Obviously, he had like defensively, he came up with like some big plays and just being awkward and making guys like take difficult shots. He did that against the Nuggets. Came up big after being pretty absent the whole game. Did it again against the Rockets.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's starting to he's trying to get me to flirt with the idea of getting behind a Lakers run. I'm not gonna lie.
I mean, this feels like the in honor of St. Patty's Day. This feels like the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow we've been chasing forever with Ayton. Is that glimmer of defense we saw on the Suns run the championship? You're like, oh, that's your future center. That's going to be a top 5 center in the league. Do that. We like that. Do that. And then it just disappeared. Just didn't come back. You saw the rim runs. We saw the energy. You saw him getting more physically like that. And then it just disappeared. And then it comes and goes, comes and goes. So is this just another wave and then they'll disappear again? Or are we actually seeing him really capture that playoff type intensity as he's, I mean, this is, we talked about at the beginning of the season, like this is kind of this should have been a redemption tour. It's not been the strongest one. It's been not bad. It's been fine. But if he is playing like this, I think I think that context hasn't changed. If he can be a defensive anchor, if he really can affect shots at the rim, he makes up for a lot of the Lakers' lack of quickness on the perimeter, which, I think that's what I do worry about a little bit in terms of their zone here. They don't have the most talented scramble guys. I think they have a lot of smart players who can rotate. But especially when you have Luke on the floor, you're going to have times where, hey, it's who's back there? Someone's got to clean this up. And if Ayton can play cleanup, if Ayton can play in the drop the way he has dropped, and they can play a little bit more man up, and they can play, they can stay home at times because they can't just play the zone for him. They're going to get picked apart eventually. They have to play it strategically, which I think they've done a good job getting in and out of it. That is, I think, a huge X factor if that continues. That's what we've been waiting for. And if that is a consistent piece, I think Ayton really, really gives them an edge. I don't care anything about the defense. The defense will come. I think he's really done a good job, like taking things as they come. But that rebounding aspect of the ball, the interior defense, the engagement that he showed there, that's special. If he can put that together for the playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely. Like Ayton remains kind of the difference maker. He's a guy that can really turn the heads in terms of turn the odds in the Lakers' favor if they are capable of kind of at least winning one playoff series, let alone anything more than that. I feel like Ayton really has to be at that level, especially as a defender and as a rebounder, and not even. I'm not saying he has to average like 2 blocks a game, but he has to just like do what he's done the last few games and just make it really difficult to get easy shots at the rim. That's what he has to do. He has to be a deterrent there. He has to just show what a guy of his size should be able to show as a rim protector. That's basically what we need. But yeah, the Lakers, it's still a wave at the moment, but obviously they're getting interesting now to see how they keep going, and interesting to see if they can continue this run when they face off against the Rockets again on Wednesday. Let's get into the Rockets. They're still the 4 seed.
Last point I wanted to say, I want to shout out LeBron.
Okay.
I want to shout out LeBron. When do I say that? Do I ever say that? But I think we see here his role has made a little bit more sense. There's not this clash. What do we see? We see Luka and Austin be the first two duo of players to score 35 in 3 consecutive games. Not happened before. And we've seen LeBron take a bit of a back seat. He's been more of a screener. He's leaked out. He's got a fast break. He's been fine defensively. And I think that shot will come back around. But this team has made way more sense with LeBron taking a back seat. And we know who's closing the game. We know Luka's closing the game. And, I think shout out LeBron. I think that's maturity as a leader for this team to see like where he is at his point in his career and allowing this to happen. And not really, he hasn't been a loud part of this team. And I think that speaks volumes to how he's been there.
Yeah, and it's going to be another jump if we're getting towards the playoffs and he can consistently be going like 2 or 3 from deep, 3 or 5 from deep, 3 or 6, like those sort of numbers. If he can consistently be hitting those numbers, we're in a playoff situation, like that'll be huge for LA as well. And I was even just looking at it, like there was moments in that game last night where it was really just like shit. LeBron really is just old now, and like
Oh, yeah, there's some of
it's
the yeah.
it's like it's just like he is old. Dude's 41 years old. Like it is absolutely crazy. And I was kind of thinking, you know what? It's okay that I'm seeing this happen because this guy probably should have been retired like 4 years ago if we're talking about a normal player. And I just did some quick research. This is so random. I don't know why it came into my head to do it. Just like this is like a game where I really noticed how much older he is when there was a few fast break moments where guys matched him running down the court, and I was like, shit, that never used to happen. There was a few just like when he just kind of fell, he's just like a yard too so, and like shit, that never used to happen. I was just looking back and thinking, between the season where he first went to the finals, the 06-07 season, and 2018, he played 1,131 games. It's like 94 a year during that time. That's only, for context, that's only 89 fewer games than Steph Curry's entire career, regular season and postseason. So to think that that's a guy who went on that run, and it's 8 years later and he's still playing, I think it's okay to see him having those struggles.
Yeah, and I think too, it's not even bad. I mean, his rim percentage is still higher than league average. It's just he doesn't look like LeBron. But what he does look like, and the Lakers will still be able to use, is it's not like he's washed. Like when he gets to the rim, he's still drawing double team. They're
Yeah.
still drawing help from corners. He can still kick out, and he still is a great passer. So I think that's where we're seeing the fine tweaks of who's really responsible for what here, and in what context do we need LeBron to do something LeBron like and create a play? When do we need Luka to do a little bit more? And hopefully, I mean, Luka is always going to be the X factor. That's what goes on, is because look at their upcoming schedule. It's tough. They do play 5 tanking teams, which is why I think they're going to be right behind Denver. I still take Denver over them,
Yeah.
but they're playing the Rockets, Heat, Magic, Pistons, Cavs, Thunder twice, and the Suns. Suns are no joke still, and there's gonna be some easy ones, but there's gonna be some tough ones in there too. So they still have their work cut out for them to prove that this is real.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. All right, Rockets. Last night was rough. They're obviously playing without Şengün. We already know the players that they are without. KD as the point guard was a disaster because going into the game I was kind of like, shit, KD could go for like 35 tonight. Who the hell are the Lakers going to get to guard him? But as the point guard,
Everybody.
he was just a disaster. Like his second half against the Lakers, he was 1 of 5 from the field. That was only a gimme at the very end of the game when it was already lost, and he had 6 turnovers, and that was a big part of why the Rockets
7.
gave up. Huh?
I think it was 7 the second half.
7 in the second half. Okay, I had 6. But yeah, let's go 7, and then that's a 10-point lead. They had that 10-point lead and looked like they were going good, and then that all of a sudden it just fell apart. And this is like, I don't know. I watched that game last night, and I feel like I see this so much from Kevin Durant. I know like he's such an elite scorer and he's such a great player, but I feel like there's always just something in the back of my head that makes me think that I very rarely see him take over games late, and I feel like he does this pretty regularly, and I don't know why that was just popping into my head last night. But yeah, it was obviously tough for him as the point guard, because Reed Shepherd, obviously he wasn't great, he wasn't hitting his shots, and when he's not hitting his shots offensively, it's tough to have him out there handling the ball all the time. It just, with the Rockets, they just can't overpower teams in the way they could when they had Adams, and then you add that in with, if you had Van Vliet at point guard, it's just such a huge drop off from where they could be to where they are at now.
Yeah. I hate to speculate, and I don't know. This is just my thinking as I watch those plays happen. You know what's going to happen when KD crosses that half court. They want to do a trap. They want to trap him. They want to force the ball out of his hands. Fine. It just does not feel like they're prepared for that.
Yeah.
The help did not come early enough for them to get the ball moving, and I feel that most playoff-ready offenses, when their best player is in a half-court trap, is going to, in 3 plays, be flowing. And then eventually the other team's going to be like, all right, we got to stop the trap. We got to go back to our base defense. Here goes it. But the fact that they just spammed that over and over and over. KD had I believe it was two backcourt violations. He had the 8-second violation. It's like that's you know KD took responsibility, and I think his quote is everything that's wrong with the offense. He said it's my fault. He said it's on me. I'm the offense. That's the point. He shouldn't be the offense. And where are the drag screens for KD? Like where there's no actions that all the actions he got when he was what's the best version of KD? We saw it when he was a secondary player in Golden State. Not that he was like secondary to Curry necessarily. He was still, I think, the best. They allowed him to be the best player, but he didn't have to create. He didn't have to constantly create. Like there are moments where you can get him into his flow. He can start working in the mid range, but for him to have to take up the ball at 37 years old at every possession, get trapped, have no one coming up early enough to get the ball out of his hands, no one's leaking out. There's just not the right space. So all this saying this is not a bad team, but Ime Udoka, where are you at? That's the question for me. And I'm not an NBA coach. I have probably less than 1% of basketball knowledge that Ime Udoka has. He's gonna forget more than I'll ever know about basketball, but
give yourself 2%. Come on, man.
Sure. But I'm just curious as to like where the offensive creativity could be when, sure, you don't have the elite spacing. That's fine. But you do have elite cutters. You have multiple ball handlers. And you have more than just KD getting trapped at half court and looking helpless and not having the movement or the actions to get him open, like get the ball out of his hands, run him off some screen, something. I don't know. It just felt that the Lakers, for as mediocre, truly, like in terms of talent wise, mediocre of a defense that they are, to just totally dismantle historically the top 5 best scorer in the league, and for the Rockets not to find a way to help him out to figure that out, and for him at the end of the game to say, "I'm the offense, it's my fault." Like that's just not where we should be right now at the end of the season, and I worry about them still.
Yeah, it feels like Ime Udoka is kind of accepting limitations right now on his team and not really trying hard enough to figure out ways to improve on those limitations and draw up different schemes to kind of get them out of these ruts when they're in them. Last night was, I feel like, definitely the highlight of that. I just felt like the whole second half, pretty much after like midway through the third, they just felt like they were in a rut after that and they never got out of it.
Yeah,
and yeah, like you said,
how they respond tomorrow. They have a chance to play Lakers again, and I mean we'll see. There's no way that they can come out and have the same plan. Just point blank period. Their upcoming games are tough. They play the Lakers. They play the Wolves twice. They play the Suns once. Beat 76ers. That's not walk in the park. They do have now a pretty decent amount of tanking teams. They got Grizzlies twice and Pelicans once, Bucks and Jazz, Bulls and Lakers, or Bulls and Golden State there. So they don't have the worst schedule. They don't have the best schedule. They're 21st right now in strength of schedule. So I think that's why I ultimately have them sticking ahead of Minnesota, especially with Ant being there. But in the same way that we're in the total opposite way, that I'm excited to see the Lakers put things together on the defensive end. It's just really head scratching that throughout the course of the season, it's the same problem over and over again. And it totally can't just be personnel, but I just have more faith in this unit in terms of their talent, what I think they could achieve, but it's just not happened for some reason.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's definitely gonna be interesting to keep them watching. Like at this moment, I feel like I'm the most worried about them when we get to a playoff series. Out of these 4 teams, I feel like I have the least faith in Houston to win a playoff series. I'd probably be willing to back the Lakers. Say if the Rockets and Lakers face off as a 4-5 seed, I'd probably be willing to back the Lakers to win that series right now. And probably maybe like a month or two ago, I probably wouldn't have dreamed to thinking like that.
Yeah, as someone who I love this Rocket squad. Like I love their talent. I think they're great. I think they have such good potential. They should be better than this, but I can't look at that matchup and be surprised if it was like a 5-game series. Like I can't take them seriously with how easily their offense can be gamed against right now. It's too easy right now. The Lakers looked like an elite top 3 defense against them.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, let's go. Nuggets next. It's been open like since Jokic has come back. It feels it's something's felt a little bit off with them, but at the same time, we've still had those epic battles with OKC when both teams have had injured players. Jokic is still that just elite force. It's tough to really look past this Denver team when we're talking about who's the best of the rest in the Western Conference now.
Do you think it's just a lot of bad luck? They've had some really bad luck. It's the two games decided by a free throw by Jamal Murray in particular, where he missed the free throw, and a lot of just like great looks that just don't go down. They are in a lot of clutch situations, but
Yeah.
they're now 17 and 18 this season in any contest with a margin of less than 5 points in the last 5 minutes. They just lost a lot of close games. Not something you expect with Jokic, and honestly, not something that they've had previously because they've not been in so many close games at that point in time. Um, they've had some ups and downs, and I think they've shown a lot. One thing that I will say is that the moments have looked very good when they have their core guys on the floor. When they have Christian Braun, when they have Aaron Gordon out there, and Aaron Gordon, I mean, still just looks good. I think he looks healthy. He's moving well on defense, and the biggest thing that I need to say when we talk about the Nuggets is the fact that Aaron Gordon is just still an elite shooter.
Yeah.
Like I can't remember how many threes he hit in the first game this season, but it was 10. No, was it 8? Something insane.
Yeah, it was that. Yeah.
And he's still doing it. He's taking fadeaway threes from the corners, contested, and I mean that's going to bode really well for the playoffs. But it's tough for me to still bet against this team. The one thing I will say that looks different is Jokic. I don't know if it's the knee. I don't know if he's still not fully healthy, but he's not moving the same way on defense that he has before. That his ability previously to really get up high on the pick and roll and then scramble back on defense in this like really awkward lumbering way, and somehow he's still in position. He's still like great at being in the right position. That's not happened as smoothly this season, and that minor regression feels like that's been a small kink of their armor when they're constantly, if they're attacking Jokic, getting him into action, getting them scrambling on those screens. That's been something that I feel like has been a little bit more of a weak point than it has been before. But ultimately, on the whole, I still feel more confident in the Nuggets in terms of the depth that they've found this season. They have just more contributors than they had last year, and Peyton Watson's not even back yet. So once they're back to full strength, I think that they're going to be poised to be a really scary third seed.
Yeah, absolutely. And you hope that like Gordon is now back. He's obviously had a lot of injury problems again this year. You hope that this is him back and ready, and he's just like going to be he already looks like he's back up to full pace, but it's having him like open up that level, getting towards the playoffs. Like he is their like difference maker defensively. Like he is probably their best and most like switchable defender. I think Peyton Watson is also somewhat similar to that, but like Aaron Gordon makes such a huge difference to this team. Defensively, especially with some of the struggles we've seen, obviously from Cam Johnson, like his shooting potential has been good on the whole this year, but he's been benched in a lot of key moments, and like you say, the Nuggets are in a lot of clutch games, and there's a lot of times where Cam Johnson's not on the floor for those really tough tight moments because they just don't have the faith in him on either end, I guess, and they're even willing to take a risk on Tim Hardaway Jr. over him in those sort of situations, and we know his limitations as a defender. So like that's like an important like kind of nugget to their like ultimate ceiling. I feel like they'll need to be firing on all cylinders to beat the Spurs or the Thunder, but it's hard to, like you say, it's just so hard to look past them as arguably the most dangerous team in the Western Conference.
Yeah. How do you think that they would be the team out of all these teams? Obviously, no team. The OKC Thunder are not scared of any of these teams, but out of any of them, do you feel that they'd be probably the biggest threat that they'd worry about?
Yeah, 100%. They forced them to 7 games last year. Think about what would have been different if Gordon had a hamstring in that final game, like little things like that, and just like obviously going up against the Jokic Murray machine is always got to be in your back of your minds that you know if you're not at your best that they are the most likely to take advantage of it.
Yeah, Obviously, would it have been nice if they won a single contest this year against them? It would make them feel a little better.
That's
But
true.
they will play April 10th, and that will be a marquee game. We'll see if that's ultimately the Western Conference preview. Um, Speaking of Western Conference finalists, team that continues to do it every year despite all odds, it feels like the Timberwolves. They're catching some bad luck. Before we got on air, we heard that Anthony Edwards is going to miss the next 2 weeks. That's truly crushing. Like that for the recent road stretch they've had. I was going to talk about a lot of the tough things that they've had going on, and especially around Ant needing to really get back in stride. This couldn't have possibly come at a worse time. And I don't know how they're going to recover from this, honestly.
Yeah, no, it's going to be tough. I think their whole mindset just has to be they just have to do enough to not fall into the play-in because Phoenix are only 2 games back. It's not beyond the realms of possibility if Ant is missed the next like 5, 6, 7 games, and Phoenix can go on a little bit of a run, not beyond the realms of possibility that maybe they were to drop into that 7 seed. They just have to do enough to get that 6 seed, avoid the play-in, and just be ready to go against the odds like they've done the last 2 years. And as every time they go on runs during the regular season, and I want to kind of start to doubt them, I just start to think this really isn't a team built for the regular season. I feel like they are a team that's ready and able to go for it in the playoffs, and just have to be about being in the playoffs. It's just getting there, and then they'll start to show their best stuff because out of all these teams, guess who has the best record against OKC and the Spurs this year? It's the Minnesota Timberwolves. They are 4-3 against those teams. Nuggets 1-4, Rockets 2-5, Lakers 1-5. Obviously, there's still some more games to play for some of those teams, but the Wolves have the best record against those teams this year. They're 2-1 against the Spurs, 2-2 with the Thunder. Like there's something about this Timberwolves team, and obviously it basically starts and ends with Anthony Edwards, that they can just get to that next gear when they get to playoff time. Their whole mentality is just built around being in the playoffs, and I think that they're still going to be such a threat if they get there with a healthy Anthony Edwards.
Yeah, the the health was not what I was going to bring up today. Obviously, it's now the key part of what's going to happen over the next 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I think the number one thing that has bothered me, continue to bother me, is his defense,
Okay.
and it's the off-ball defense. You see it when they played OKC. I mean, Ant was not having a great game himself, but defensively, when he's matched up on SGA, I really don't think there's many other guards who are really doing a better job on SGA the way that Ant is. Ant
Mm-hmm.
really seems to make it hard for SGA to get the spots that he wants to, and he's solid. He's not falling for these fakes. He's not giving a lot of unnecessary contact. SGA is not just having an easy time getting to the line and getting to spots. That level of defense that he brings, especially in the playoffs, is just it's elite. It's very good. It's top notch. It's the off ball that just drives me nuts, man. It's insane. As they're losing, they had five in this last stretch. They had five double digit losses. One of them to the Magic, and you just can't excuse some of these lapses. It's like it's not what elite players do. It's not what top 10 players do. It literally makes me question, like, his, where we're ranking him amongst the top 10. You just can't have a guy. It's the same thing with Luca, a guy who's going to fall asleep on defense and just allow the type of those plays. Like, he just can't. And that, in addition to the turnovers, the turnovers have been really bad. As a team, they're 19th in turnovers over the course of the year. The amount of live ball turnovers, points given up in the fast break, has just been backbreaking. And is that something that's going to carry over to playoffs? Maybe not. Things tighten up, the pace slows down, a little more intentional, and maybe that just cleans itself up. That's fine. I think the point is just like going to the postseason strong. And last year they're 17-4 to close the season. They really changed our mind. It was that period of time where it's like, hey, everyone shut up about Randall. He's good. He's been good, and he's been good on this team. And the year before that, it was not quite as impressive. It was 14 to the tune of 14-9. They're 4-4 to start March here. How bad can they really expect to be and waltz into the playoffs and just have a Cinderella story? I think if any of these teams, they're more equipped than any to do it. I still love their defense. They're still a great defensive team, and especially that ceiling rises exponentially when Ant is all the way engaged on that end. I mean, Ant is literally a superstar level defender when he wants to be. That's the point. And Randall is fine when he can be engaged. They have the depth. They added a guy in Iowa, and Iowa's been great. They've had another dynamic open court playmaker. I mean, he's just leaking out. He's giving them so many opportunities to get downhill, and that's just added a lot. And they have enough there, but what happens if they sink to 7? What happens if they sink to 8? That's where I think things get pretty fun and interesting in the Western Conference, because we just talked about, I think the Nuggets are the biggest challenge for the Thunder. I think if I'm looking at the bracket in my brain correctly here, if the Wolves were to sink down to 7, I think that they would be bracketed with the Spurs. If they sunk down to 8, they'd be bracketed with the Thunder. Correct. What are the chances of that happening?
I mean, if they're in a 7-8 matchup with the Clippers, that will not be an easy one for them at all. If they're in the first playing game for that 7 seed,
Yeah.
like that will not be easy for Minnesota at all, and that could very easily lead them to a first round matchup with OKC.
Yeah. Yeah. So this now kind of makes the Thunder the main character here, because we're talking about it from their perspective. But that has to be probably the Thunder are probably looking at this. This is kind of the worst case scenario. If the T-Wolves, they sink down, the Suns pop up, and you end up having to ultimately choose between going through Kawhi Leonard and this surging, spunky Clippers team who are going to try and beat the crap out of you, or a hungry T-Wolves team with Anthony Edwards coming back, hopefully healthy at that point. That's not fun. that's,
Yeah,
that's not a great option either way.
no, no, that's tough. Like the Thunder, it's going to be really interesting to see because they've showed their human side this year, just as they showed their human side at certain times in the playoffs last year. Obviously, multiple 7-game series, like things like that. It's never easy to win an NBA championship. Nothing comes easy, and like we said, we were probably a bit too early to crown them as the next dynasty or anything like that. But they're also still the first seed. They're also still in a great position to go and do it again. It's just going to be so interesting to see how the brackets fall and how like the level of competition they could end up having to go through from the first round. They might not. They might just be a little bit different than last year. Obviously, the first round was an absolutely easy wipeout of the Grizzlies. I don't think it's going to be as easy this year.
No, definitely not. Do you have some fast breaks?
I do. Let's jump into the fast break. Final word on that Western Conference is just like keep an eye on it. Every day it's going to change. Lots of things are gonna go on. There's like this game. This could flip again if the Rockets beat the Lakers on Wednesday. It's gonna be different again. So yeah, just keep your eyes on the Western Conference. It's gonna be thrilling until the end. Fast break. First thing, just want to get your theory on it. The San Antonio Spurs. People are like, obviously they're saying these guys are legit contenders now. That doesn't matter how young they are. Would it be like the most spectacular thing of all time if this Spurs team went and won the title? A team that effectively their entire core has zero playoff experience, and if they were to go and win the title,
Zero.
Like,
I mean, De'Aaron Fox has some playoff experience.
Has one playoff series
He's
or
one playoff
two.
series.
He has one playoff series. Wemby, none. Vassell,
champion Harrison Barnes. Are we forgetting about him?
Yeah, okay.
But no,
Harrison Barnes going to be the difference between the title and not? I don't think so.
Well, I think the in the grander scheme of things, it would be, and I think it would be even more incredible to look at this. If Wemby somehow wins if he wins MVP, if he ends up, he still qualifies, right? He just can't miss any more games. I think he's like three more games. If Jokic misses a couple games here and then is out, and it's Wemby, if he wins the MVP, and the Spurs, if they get through, I mean, they could, man. They could. I think we've seen those two match up, and the Thunder hate playing the Spurs. Spurs hate them. That would be just the best. That could be the best Western Conference Finals we've seen. And I feel like we're saying that every year. The matchups have just been so good year on year. But if they won the championship, you'd have two back-to-back years where it would be the youngest core, youngest squad to win championship. I think Barnes might be kind of holding them down there in terms of age, if we're
Yeah.
averaging that out. But I mean, the obvious thing, you have a rookie, you have multiple guys under the age of 27. Wemby, their best player, who is what now 20. I don't think he even drink yet. 20, turning 21. I think this summer. I may be wrong, but two consecutive years where the youngest teams in the league, young MVP winning would just be. I mean, it'd just be incredible for the league, man. That would be awesome. And I again still want to keep cashing in on my prediction that I told you this team would be awesome and they'd be in the playoffs. But I did not think they would be the second team. I did not think that they would be rivaling the Thunder. I thought they'd be a thorn in the side. I thought they'd be really just bothering the Wolves. They'd be bothering the Rockets. They'd be really edging in on the playoffs there. But for them to just be far and away the most obvious best team uh, in the West, aside from the Thunder, is I mean it's insane. In the last 20 games, they only lost two, and one of them they didn't even have Wemby. And I think you're just seeing the comfort level that they have playing with all these guards. It just ceases to never ceases to amaze me how they've done an excellent job incorporating all their guards. You literally see month on month the development from them. You see Harper continue just to be steady. He had a little bit of a slump in the winter and now just kind of getting back into form. You see Stephon Castle just continue to have better command of the ball. He's turning it over less. He's getting better getting the paint. Still a confident shoot. I mean, just everything. You've seen Carter Bryant be more involved. Another rookie. He's 10th man of the rotation. And they have two rookies really involved here. One of them at a higher level. It's all of it is impressive. It's awesome and really good to see from a organization like the Spurs.
Yeah, and young coach as well, who's probably a shoe in for coach of the year as well.
Yeah.
That's another thing. And I'll be totally honest with you. Before I posed that question, I honestly did completely forget just how young the Thunder also were last year when they won the title. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, it'd be consecutive years. Yeah. So, yes, absolutely. I think that would be amazing. Speaking of young players, you won't guess this, but I'm going to pose a question to you anyway because I think it's so fascinating. There are only two players this year to have 100 blocks and 100 threes. Can you name them?
100 blocks and 100 threes.
One's a big and one's a wing. They're both young players.
Is Wembanyama one of them?
Easy. That's a layup.
Okay. Now you're gonna try and tell me is no? You're gonna say you said young player. I was thinking Derek White for a second. Is the other one Stephon Castle?
No. Blocks. It's a wing.
Oh, it's a wing. Okay. Give me a conference.
Eastern.
Huh.
Zabul.
Bull. The Bulls have player who do things. It's not Bucelas, is it?
It is. How sad is that? He's been lost on this team that has been mired in mediocrity and no one cares anymore. But in a season where no one cares anymore, he's continuing to make strides, man. He's that's a very rare feat for him to be a bit of like a unicorn. He's a bit of a wing unicorn. Still had some ups and downs this season, but for him to continue demonstrating that rim protection and being in that realm of Wemby in terms of a floor spacer and a rim protector, seeing what he's done on the ball too, I'm still excited to see what we see from him next year. On the year, he's averaging 36% from three. He's jumped up his minutes by a lot. He's averaging nearly 30 minutes per game, scoring 16 points, 1.5 blocks, and 3.2 stocks overall. I think he's just got he's oozing with potential, man, and I think that this team needs to get their act together to give him a chance to be the all-star player I think he can be.
Yeah, you want to hear more hype about him too, because like his whole story and like coming into Chicago and all. I hope that he is able to do it big in Chicago. Like, that'd be awesome. Yeah, I'm excited as well. I know it's hard to get excited about a lot of things to do with the Chicago Bulls at the moment, but yeah. Bucelas is without a doubt one of the things that you can get excited about for sure.
Yeah. I'll pass you the rock. What do you got?
Oh, well, I guess one that I'm gonna steal from you. Let's talk Atlanta Hawks. They've won 10 straight games.
No.
Oh,
all right, I got it for you. I got to pass the rock back.
Okay, you got it.
This is good. So the Magic, they're 10-5. They have 6.7 net rating. The last 15 games, they're back in the playoff picture. Hawks are 11-4 with an 8.1 net rating in the same stretch. Who do you have more faith in?
The Hawks.
Oh, please explain.
I have, obviously, I have been so impressed with the upturn in Paolo Banchero's form. That's been huge for this Magic team. I still just have no faith whatsoever in their 3-point shooting. And without Franz Wagner, I'm not 100% sure if he's going to get back to the team this year or not. I just don't see them making the noise that not to say I really believe in Atlanta making that big noise as well, but as we watched last night, I feel like Atlanta just have a little bit more all-round quality than the Orlando Magic.
Okay. This one's kind of easy for me. I think it's the Magic. They pooped on the Blazers. They pooped on the Wizards. They pooped on the Nets. Then they took a big old dump on the 76ers. You know who the 76ers started? On Saturday, March 7th? Started Adam Bona, Dominic Barlow, Kelly Oubre, alongside Grimes and Maxey. I don't know. I'm not sure if I buy it yet. I think the Magic have had some pretty tough competition. They've won some impressive games. I do like what the Hawks are doing. And I like the fact that this was my take 3 days ago, and I can't be a coward and shy away from it just because the Hawks beat them yesterday. But I do think the question marks for the Magic remain. I think there's still there's a little trepidation about how their offense will look in the playoff setting, and their defense still hasn't been the same. But I think Paolo Banchero's made some strides here, and I'm getting behind the Magic, man. I'm back on it. That them and the Hawks, they're going to be in a tight battle here, and I really hope that we get a good.
Who would you have more faith in, like, delivering? Let's say, what do each team have left? How many games do each team have left to play? Somewhere in like the 14 range, is it?
Yeah. And if you look at the Hawks here, their next stretch.
Say that which team is more likely to go, like, I don't know, 9-5 in those games? Do you believe more in Jalen Johnson to lead that run for the Hawks, or Paolo to lead it for the Magic?
I think it has nothing to do with that, and more with the Hawks playing the Rockets, the Pistons twice, the Celtics twice. I'm sorry, the Pistons just once, and then having to play the Knicks, Cavs twice, and then ending the season with the Heat. The Magic.
The Hawks have a bit of a gauntlet, do they? Okay, I honestly did not look into that. I didn't know they had a gauntlet coming.
And then I think if we were able to see this stretch with a lot less tanking teams, which is, again, we talked about this a couple of pods ago, where this stretch of the season is inevitably kind of, isn't it kind of ruined a little bit at times? Because a lot of the analysis has to come from, oh, well, they automatically get 5 wins. Like, we can look through a schedule and actually say, hey, that team is going to lose. So they're going to lose. That's an automatic win. And it has nothing to do with how those two teams are going to match up. That team is going to actively try to lose. So this is our 100th cry for help to end tanking in some meaningful way, because it's not just the big problem of tanking. You see it in these little moments too. Like this part of the schedule is inevitably going to be kind of screwed up, and some of these teams' futures are going to be messed up because another team just got lucky at their end of the season. It's a lot easier. We didn't talk about Bam.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that happening.
All right, I'm gonna let you guess. I'll give you 3 guesses. You have to get within 3% of the number. All right?
Okay.
What percent of Bam's free throws did he shoot in that one game to break Kobe's record? Not shooting percentage, but the number of free throws he took in that game. What percent of all the free throws he took all season do you think that was?
Oh, okay. I'm gonna say 28%.
Not that bad. It's not that bad. It's a bit
Okay.
lower.
Let's see. 14.
13.5.
Okay.
13.5 free throws of the entire season happened in that one game. Did you watch that back? All his shots?
No.
So
I saw enough when I realized he was after that 30 points in the first quarter. I freaked out and I was like, yeah, okay, this is ugly as hell.
I'm very conflicted on it because my initial gut response was, look at the free throws, and then I watched, and then especially the first half, it was just no answer. The Wizards are not great. Bam is just bullying these guys to the rim. They don't have an answer. They're just letting him get whatever he wants. He's getting to the rim. He's getting fouled. That's fine. And it's not the free throws themselves that bother me. I think I just didn't like the fouling at the end, keeping him in the game, and just doing everything they could to get him to that mark.
Yeah.
It soured it a little bit for me. I'm not like a big like you shouldn't go for it, respect Kobe, blah blah blah. Because I think it is ironic that Bam, a guy who scored over 20, I think 3 times this season. I have to fact check myself here, but he's
his 83 points was more than double his previous career high. That's a fact. And that end of that game was just so ugly. If you want to just remember the first 3 quarters or even the first 3.5 quarters, you do that. But the end of that game, how we actually ended up at 83 was just horrific. Like the Wizards, everything about it just felt wrong. That was just the biggest thing. And you think of some of the guys who have gotten close, like Luka Doncic or Joel Embiid or even Devin Booker. It just feels like theirs was so much more natural. Nothing felt forced, and that felt like everything they did was and like this, it was just the way that he actually got to the number was just sucked.
Yeah, and what I meant was over 30. Bam has only scored over 30 3 times during this season. Yeah, and speaking of scoring, more quiz time. This surprised me. Who has the most 50-point games this season?
Most 50 points.
Yeah.
Is it Anthony Edwards?
No.
Who else is there then? Because I know Shea or Luka and Ant were going toe to toe for the 40-point games. So I guess who's got 3 50-point games? Is that what we're looking at?
So this was on Christmas. Jokic against the T-Wolves when he scored the first 50-point triple-double on Christmas. 56, 16, and 15. And he did it in November 12th. 55, 12, and 3 against the Clippers, the hapless Clippers. So Jokic, I feel like we totally forgot that he just dropped 50 bombs twice. Luka has the other 50-point game recently. And this is the other one. Who do you think has the most 40-point games this season? I think this one's a layup.
Is it Luka now?
Yeah, it's Luka. Right behind him, Edwards with 10.
Mm-hmm.
And then just the king of consistency this year, Shea already beat the record for 20-point games. He has 38 30-point games this season. Just a metronome.
Mm-hmm.
With that, I don't think we've made our recent MVP kind of predictions. Where are you at? Who's your top 3 for MVP right now?
I think it's Shea. I think I'm happy to give Shea the nod after that, going toe to toe with Jokic in that last week and hitting those 2 clutch triples to beat Jokic. One of the best games of the year, and Shea got the better of Jokic there. So I'm happy to have him as the 1 spot there. Then Jokic. And honestly, I genuinely think Doncic is 3rd for me.
Over Wemby.
Over Wemby. Kind of a guy who's been on, who's missed the number of games he's had, been on periods of being on minutes restrictions and stuff like that. I'm not having him as my MVP.
Okay.
DPOY, in a heartbeat.
All right. All right.
Like just that.
That's fair.
We've all seen that clip going around of him chasing around Darius Garland last night. Yeah, like obviously he is the DPOY without a good shadow of a doubt.
The Spurs. It's funny that it's almost like the first Morant injury year where the Grizzlies just went on an incredible run without him, and everyone's like, oh well, I guess they don't need Morant. I mean, obviously the current state of events in Memphis don't speak to that well. But I mean, at the time, it was kind of ridiculous. It's like Wemby comes back, the team is great because the team is great. But I mean, he's still the best player on, you know, the second best team in the West, second best team in the honestly in the league. That's where it gets tricky. We're looking at power rankings, a lot of mix and matching. Would you say the Spurs are a better team than the Pistons?
Yeah.
Would you say the Spurs are a better team than the Celtics?
That's I don't know. That's tight. I feel like the Celtics have kind of matched up with them in a way of what they've done in a way like without like their main guy for periods of this year. Now Tatum's back. I maybe just give the edge to Boston. Maybe just.
For history's sake, sure. But yeah, that's pretty high up. I don't think they're in the same echelon as the Lakers. The Lakers are just not in the same. They're
No,
not.
we've seen them. Yeah, and we've seen them blow out the Lakers, and just knowing, like, think about what Wemby can do against that Lakers team, and just yeah, the Spurs definitely know how to make the Lakers uncomfortable for sure.
Yeah, you would almost say that in a matchup between the Lakers and the Spurs, even not even in the league, that the more valuable player might be Women Hill.
You could say that.
I rest my case. But at the end of the day, man, this final stretch will be awesome, and I think that more than ever, like the matchups that are going to come out of this last 2 weeks, who's going to end up on which side of the bracket, this is all going to be matchup based, not really numbers based. And man, if it does end up coming to fruition that the Timberwolves find themselves in the 8th seed at the end of it all, and the Thunder end up facing a gauntlet of the Nuggets if they end up getting to 3 after having to deal with the T-Wolves and then getting through the Spurs. Like, this would just be, the ultimate pathway to legend for them. This is going to be a really tough ride for whoever makes it out of the West. The East is not going to be a joke either. I think the East is going to be tough, especially now that we see, the Celtics coming to their own without Tatum, and then Tatum coming back and he's sliding in seamlessly, and regardless of what Jaylen Brown wants to say about it. But man, this is coming up, and I'm really excited. I can't wait for the playoffs to come.
Yeah, it's going to be a great end to the season, but I think that's going to do it for today's episode. Always fun to talk as we get towards the playoffs. Things are getting real now. I know we've had our lulls of the season. We've had moments where we kind of like to forget about the NBA, but now this is all NBA time. We're getting into the prime time of it. Still so much to change. The positions in both conferences, the final standings are going to be crucial to teams that might make a run. It's going to be crucial for my Knicks, crucial for teams like the Lakers and even like the Thunder in terms of their hopes of retaining their championship. But it's going to be a hell of fun. We're going to be here to cover it all for you. But until next time, Chris, thank you so much for joining me, and thank you all for sticking with us. Remember, we are everywhere on social media at Coast to Coast NBA, and most importantly, remember to take every shot and love every moment.
Peace out.